Hi Ron. Today I'm going to talk about the process of how I become 5 dan. Alright, let's get started. So, to become 5 dan, you must learn the most important thing in Shogi, and that is learn principles. So what are they? There are 3 important principles, and it is divided in each stage, opening, middle game, and end game. So in the opening, you should make a plan, and in middle game, you should be consistent that plan, and a sudden change of the plan is never successful. And finally, in end game, you should threaten the king, because unless you checkmate the king, you cannot win. Well, let's take a look at specific examples. So let's analyze some games while paying attention to these principles. So I am 5 dan in 81 dojo. I'm still 2 dan in Shogi Worlds. So my goal is to become 5 dan in also Shogi Worlds. So in this game, the opponent was 5 dan, so he should be pretty strong. So the game starts with pawn to 7-6, and the opening was Rook versus static Rook, just as always. And I castled, and he also castled. And I decided to choose Mino castle while he chooses both castle. So very basic and classical opening. I pushed pawn to 5-6. So the purpose of this move is to use silver like diagonally by moving silver to 5-7 and silver to 4-6. And I pushed pawn to 7-5. And my goal is to create Ishida-Style formation such as Rook to 7-6 and Bishop to 7-7, pawn to 5-6, silver to 5-6. Yeah. So, and I moved Rook to 7-6 as I planned. So this move also prevents pawn to 8-6. And he pushed pawn to 4-5 to open the bishop's diagonal line. He should also push pawn to 6-5 at some point, and I decided to counterattack force file by pushing pawn to 4-6 to gain a pawn and also control the force file. Yeah, and I recaptured, and he moved silver to 5-4. So next he was going to move silver to 6-5, and I cannot take this silver because bishop will be taken. So I have to be careful about it. So this is the end of opening, and I made a plan that I castle my king safely into Mino. And you see how it's already middle game, and I moved bishop to 7-7. Like I said, to prevent silver to, and he moved rook to 8-4. I think it was kind of questionable move since he was able to use the rook like horizontally by moving rook to 4 to like at some point, but he eliminates that option. And since I have a clear plan that my king is safer than the opponents, I started to fight by pushing pawn to 5-5. And if the if silver retreats, I can control the force file by like dropping pawn or something like that, and I have an advantage. So he captured and captures, and some like few exchanges happened, and even though I lose one pawn, I knew I was advantageous at this position, and I pushed pawn to 6-5. So bishop exchange. There's no way to prevent the trade, bishop trade. So he just captures, and I recaptured. And at this position, I clearly have an advantage because, like I said, in the opening, I have a plan that my castle is safer than the opponent's, so that when the fight happens, I can checkmate the king faster than the opponent. So yeah, he spent some time in this position for a while and dropped bishop to 3-3. So the purpose of this move is to prevent bishop drop like 4-4, and if he took this pawn, I would have moved pawn to 7-4 to block the rook's horizontal line. And yeah, I had an advantage. So he dropped bishop, but I pushed pawn again to block the horizontal line. He recaptured, and I took the pawn, and silver recaptures, and I dropped the bishop. So next, I can drop silver, or I can this pawn by rook or bishop, and there's no way to prevent both. So he pushed pawn and my rook escapes and dropped silver. I had a good move here. I dropped pawn. Since my castle is safer than the opponent, I should keep attacking. And that follows the second principle, which is be consistent. So that's why dropping pawn was a good move. So if he took my bishop, I can promote the pawn and take back the bishop, so there was no problem. So he had to drop the pawn here. I promoted my bishop. You see how dropping pawn blocks bishops down the line, and now big advantage. And he moved bishop to activate, but I just played naturally and yeah, took pawn and the horse retreats. And again, since my castle is safer than the opponent, I kept attacking by pushing pawn. And yeah, see how it's important to have a clear plan and be consistent with that plan. He took it and I dropped pawn. So if he takes it, I can simply take this pawn by lance. If he takes, that's already checkmate. So yeah, he has to retreat again, but I took the pawn. And yeah, you see how I'm reaching the victory little by little. And I drop pawn in order to drop silver next. So silver to 6-2. But actually this move was a little bit questionable. And instead, I should have dropped here to 7-4 in order to block the rook's horizontal line. Because I knew he will move like silver to 5-5 next. So yeah, dropping pawn was better. If he takes this pawn, I moved horse and dropped the silver, and there's no way to block the 2-3 square. So yeah, I would have won easily. But pawn to 6-3 was also not bad, and yeah, I dropped silver, tried to like exchange some pieces, and dropped go to 4-3. Yeah, this move was also great move, like yeah. And in the game he took it, but I just recaptured and kept attacking by taking the pawn, and he recaptures, but I recaptured. And pawn to 2-2 was a losing move, and I dropped bishop, and I was sure that I will win. So if he takes my I can simply take the gold, and yeah, it's already checkmate by dropping gold. So yeah, in the real game he played like go to 4-2, but it's meaningless, and yeah, I just took the gold, and yeah, again dropping gold and checkmate, and I won. So in this game, you see how in the end game I tried to threaten the king, and yeah, attack aggressively by like sacrificing gold. So yeah, to sum up, in the opening, I have a plan. My castle is safer than the opponent's, and in the middle game, I started fighting so that I'm consistent with the plan. That my castle is safer than the opponent's. So I offered many trade and exchanges, and also I kept attacking, like dropping pawn, like pushing pawn for an edge attack. And finally, in the end game, how I sacrificed my gold to threaten the king. And yeah, seek for an attack. Alright, let's take a look at another example. In this game, I was goated, so the board is reversed. And yeah, the game starts with pawn to 2-6. And so I moved silver to 4-3 first, and since he moved king first, I tried to play static rook. And yeah, advancing silver and some formation. And I tried to pawn or to use silver or use knight. So yeah, in order to make a room for that. And he was castling, but in this position I tried new moves and decided to attack by jumping knight. And if silver moves here, then I can just open my bishop down the line, and it's really threatening his king. So he advanced to silver, but I just pushed pawn. And yeah, since he cannot take my knight easily, I thought this will be a very interesting game. And yeah, he offered knight jump to trade, but it was not a very good move. And yeah, I just pushed pawn, and he took it. And silver retreats, but I just pushed pawn, And yeah, so again, this bishop's down line is really threatening, so have some advantage. And yeah, in this game, the opening was really short, but I had a plan to like push pawn in order to like make a room for attack. And yeah, I was consistent with the plan. And yeah, I jumped the knight. So yeah, that follows my first and second principles. Yeah. So the game continued. His pawn to 7-5, and he just took it, and I trade some pawns, and yeah, he moved king to prevent the threat, since I could have dropped pawn next. Well, in this position, maybe dropping knight was not the best move, but yeah, I was consistent with the plan that I continue attack by using the bishops down the line. So yeah, this was also the option. And he retreats, but I dropped a pawn and promote the pawn next. Yeah, this is called dangling pawn technique, and this technique is used very often. So yeah. And gold, but I moved rook to break the second file. I mean seventh file. And yeah, he dropped knight, and I can just escape the silver, and he pushed pawn, and like if I moved pawn promote or something like that, he can just take this and promote it, takes, and he has a threat to drop knight next. So I didn't promote the pawn, instead I took the knight first, and he takes my silver. I just recapture it and drop knight here. And yeah, I had a big advantage here, and yeah, I was sure that I will win. He has escaped, but dropping gold too hard for my opponent, and yeah, he just took it by just doing it, and yeah, it's a rich checkmate by dropping gold. So yeah. So to sum up, in this game, even though the opening was really short, I clearly have a plan that I pushed pawn in order to prepare to attack by making room for advancing silver or knight. Yeah. And in the middle game, I was consistent with the plan and continued attack by using bishops down the line. And in the end game, I kept threatening his king, and I knew dropping knight here will be a very critical square. I traded silver for knight first, and in this position I was down silver, but again dropping knight was too hard for him, and yeah, I won naturally. So yeah, this was my second game. Last not but least, let's analyze. Actually, this was the game which I succeeded in becoming 5 dan. Alright, so let's get started. The game started with pawn to 7-6, and the opening was double swinging rook. So pausing rook versus surefire rook. And yeah, every time I play like double swinging rook, I like the formation of silver to 3-8 and king to 4-8. So the meaning of this move is when he trades the pawn, like such as moving pawn to 3-6 here, I will just take this and pawn to 4-6 at some point and build a Yagura castle instead of Mino castle. And he actually didn't push the pawn, so I just push the pawn and make a room for gold to advance. And yeah, in this position he pushed pawns, so I decided to move back silver to 4-7, not 6-7. And I have a clear plan that my castle is safer than the opponent, so that if I can attack on this side, I will gain a huge advantage. First, like I said, I castle, and in this position I moved bishop and tried to attack 6 file. So I jump the knight, and he offers a trade, so I just drop a pawn and move rook. Yeah, in this position I have an advantage. He just keep castled, but I moved rook first to protect balance, and then I push the pawn to start the fight. Basically, if he takes this pawn, I can simply take this, and even if he escapes the silver, I can just take this bishop and go recapture and knight promotes, and like I clearly have an advantage. You see how my castle is very safe, and opponent cannot attack. So yeah, he cannot take this pawn, and he just pushed pawn, but I simply took it, and yeah, I took the pawn, and I now have a very strong pawn that controls 6 files. So basically, a huge advantage here, and yeah. In middle game, basically, since my king is safely castled, I will keep attacking. And yeah, so he pushed pawn. He tries to push pawn next, so I just push the pawn, and even if he can take my pawn, I push pawn again, and you see how the opponent can take this pawn by silver because I can just simply take this gold, and yeah, he cannot just silver because I can just simply take this again. So yeah, he just took it, but I promoted bishop, and yeah, I clearly have an advantage, and dropped, and then take knight, and I drop pawn here, and it was very critical move. He can do nothing but take this by gold, but I just drop pawn here. I drop pawn, and this was also a good move, and he just took it, but then I moved horse to 5-2, and basically it's like a fork, like trying to give a threat mate horse to 6-1, but also take the rook next. So yeah, I definitely win in this position, and he just escapes the rook. But like I said, horse to 6-1 and horse to 7-1, horse to 8-1, and it's a checkmate. So he resigned. So again, you see how I plan that my king is safely castled and prepared to attack by moving bishop, knight, and rook, and like centralizes the power on 6 file. And in the middle game, I sort of fight by pushing pawn to 6-5 and kept attacking again since my castle is safe, and in the end game attack by using some technique such as like dangling pawn or like dropping pawn here. It's called striking pawn, and again dangling pawn next. Yeah, and keep threatening his king, which follows the third principle, and eventually give a checkmate. Alright, so in conclusion, remember the 3 important principles, which are: in the opening, make a plan; in the middle game, be consistent; and in endgame, threaten the king. And pay attention to them while playing the game or watching the game. Alright, that's it for today. We'll really appreciate if you click like, subscribe, and give me some comment. Thanks for watching, and see you again.